Most people think starting over means starting from zero. It doesn't. It means starting with everything you know now, and none of the fear that usually comes with it. If I were 20 years old again, right now, in this exact moment in history, I would not waste a single day on what I actually did when I was 20. The world has changed so fundamentally that the old playbook no longer applies. And here's what nobody is telling 20-year-olds right now. You are standing at the most asymmetric moment for individual opportunity in the history of the modern economy. Most of you don't know it. Most of you are going to waste it. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly why. Stay with me. Here's the hidden problem. Most 20-year-olds today are optimizing for a world that no longer exists. Choosing majors based on job security that won't exist in 10 years. Taking unpaid internships to learn skills that AI will perform better in 18 months. Accumulating credentials built for a hiring system that is already being quietly replaced. Very few people understand this. The entire structure of how careers used to work, apply, get hired, climb a ladder, retire, was built for an economy of scarcity. Scarcity of information, scarcity of tools, scarcity of distribution. That scarcity is gone, and almost nobody under 30 has recalibrated their behavior to reflect that. Here's the contrarian insight. The biggest risk for a 20-year-old today is not failure. It's safety. For most of history, the safe path and the smart path were roughly the same path. Get the degree, get the job, climb, stay employed. That correlation has broken. The safe path is now the most crowded path, which means it's the most competed over and the most commoditized. The irony is brutal. The safe choice often produces the least security in 15 years because you're optimizing for stability in a system being restructured underneath you. The seemingly risky path, building something, learning in public, betting on a skill that doesn't have a job title yet, is actually safer long-term because you're building capability, not dependency. Most people don't realize this until it's too late. The floor under safe choices is rising less every year than the ceiling above risky ones. This is where almost everyone makes the biggest mistake. Picture this. A 22-year-old opens her laptop on a Monday morning. No team, no funding, no office. By lunch, she has a working prototype of an app, built with AI tools, doing the heavy lifting on code she couldn't have written herself a year ago. By evening, it's live. Real users, real feedback. 5 years ago, that timeline required a company, a round of funding, a team of 6. Today, it requires one person, a laptop, and the willingness to look a little foolish in public. This isn't hypothetical. Solo builders are shipping AI-powered tools and hitting 5 figures a month in revenue, alone, in the time it used to take a startup just to hire its first engineer. Creators are growing audiences of hundreds of thousands using ChatGPT as a writing partner, a researcher, and an editor simultaneously. Small teams of 2 or 3 are now building what used to require 50 people. That's not motivation. That's just what's currently true. 10 years from now, the people who are wealthy and capable will not be the ones with the best resumes in 2026. They will be the people who, right now, while it still feels uncertain, decided to build something real, with tools that are sitting wide open and mostly ignored. The cost of building has collapsed. 5 years ago, software required a team, capital, and months. Today, one person with good judgment can build, test, and launch in a weekend. That compression happened so fast that most institutions haven't updated their advice. Career counselors are still pointing 20-year-olds toward companies that are themselves scrambling to figure out how to survive this shift. The real question is, why compete for a seat at a table being redesigned when you could build your own table? Here's the mental model I'd use. I call it the leverage stack. At the bottom is labor, your hands, your hours. Trade time for money linearly. Above that is capital, money working for you. Most 20-year-olds don't have this, and that's fine. Above that is code and media, things you build once that work while you sleep. At the top is judgment combined with AI, the ability to direct increasingly capable systems toward problems that matter faster than anyone else. For the first time in history, a 20-year-old with zero capital can access the top of that stack almost immediately, not the labor layer, the top. That has never been true before, not for your parents, not for anyone who came before you. Here's what I'd actually do, concretely, starting today. First, spend 6 months going absurdly deep on AI tools. Not casual use, understanding their real limits, their failure modes, where the frontier actually sits. Most people use 10% of what's available. Aim for 90. Second, pick one real problem you personally feel and build a tiny, ugly, working solution to it within 30 days. Not a plan, a thing that exists. Third, publish your thinking publicly, even when it's mediocre. A visible track record compounding over 5 years beats a polished resume nobody outside HR ever reads. Fourth, find people 5 to 10 years ahead of you who are building, not 50 years ahead, managing legacy institutions. Proximity to builders teaches you more than proximity to titles. Fifth, treat your 20s as the cheapest decade you'll ever have to be wrong in. The cost of failure at 20 is nearly zero. At 40, with a mortgage and a family, it's enormous. That asymmetry is the entire argument. Here's my final prediction. In 10 years, the gap between people who used this moment and people who waited for permission will be the widest generational divide we've seen since the early internet. Not because intelligence differs. Not because opportunity is unevenly handed out by birth, the way it always has been. Because the cost of starting has collapsed to nearly zero, and most people still won't start. Because the old psychological model, wait until you're qualified, wait until someone picks you, is still running in their heads like outdated software. The tools don't check your resume. They don't ask where you went to school. They respond to whoever shows up and uses them seriously. 5 years from now, you won't wish you'd watched another productivity video. You won't wish you'd collected another certificate. You'll wish you had started. Because the people who begin today will look impossible to catch tomorrow. So here's the real question. Not what should a 20-year-old do in 2026? This. If the only thing standing between you and an asymmetric decade is the willingness to look a little foolish, build a little ugly, and start before you feel ready, what exactly are you waiting for? Somewhere right now, there's a 20-year-old who isn't waiting. In 10 years, you'll either be reading about what they built, or you'll be the one who built it.